Hi, I'm Peter. Today I want to talk about a game that I wrote, the first game I wrote called Three Deep. Now, it's a really great game, but I made so many mistakes when I was making this. And I want to go through some of the mistakes I made so you don't make the same ones. You should be able to see on screen this is Appendix 1, page 69. It's at the back of the book. The whole game is 68 pages. I'm showing you this first because one of the things that is really, really hard for an indie developer on zero budget is art. Now, if you look at the artwork credits here, there are just so many different artists and public domain and Wikipedia images, um, to the point where I just put other images at the end because they were all from the same website. Uh, there's loads of them. As you see other pages appear, you'll see why this is a problem. Getting art for free, brilliant, but it comes at a cost. Now, 3D is a rules light 3d6 game. Well, 2d6, 3d6. It borrows heavily from Traveller, Champions, Car Wars. Some of my favourite games from the late 70s, mid 80s. This is what I cut my teeth on with role playing after D&D basic set. All those elements have come together, and this is the best of all of them into one nice simple system. It's rules light. If you just look at this page, we go through rolling stats, stat bonuses, straight into skills, how they work. It's a very flexible meta skill type game. Uh, Flicking on, we go through difficulties, failing skill rolls, and here's our first piece of art. Going on again, we've gone from skills into backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and then the list of skills starts, which goes on for a few pages. So we've got one artist here, we've got another artist there, but at this point, the art is consistent. Moving on, a few pages on. Now, the game was genre neutral. So we've got fantasy art at the beginning. We've got some sci-fi art here. Here we're talking about modern equipment. And the game's called Three Deep because everything comes in threes. Here you'll see small, medium, and large weapons, 1d6, 2d6, 3d6. You'll see a lot of that. So here we've gone from sort of fantasy style art. Here we've got art without the border, it's just on the page. Now we're into a photograph. This is the character sheet, the character creation with the sample character sheet. All very, very simple, obviously low budget. Moving on, we're now into the monster manual bit, the bestiary. And look at this, it's completely different style again. I was looking for silhouettes of everything, thinking that would be really easy, but then I just couldn't find the images, not that were free to use. We got a few pages of this, and then look, there's King Kong. I think that's probably Alice in Wonderland. Again, I just couldn't find the images, but I wanted an image for every monster. That's kind of what you need. The game, because it's rules light, hurtles through everything. There's nothing to make the game comfortable for the GM or player. In this section here, at the end of the bestiary, we've got vehicles. Then we've got damaging objects, damaging vehicles, what happens as they start to break down, the effects of damage. And then from that, and that covers everything from a bicycle and segways to dreadnoughts, tanks, spaceships, everything. 2 pages, that's it. Move on. Then we're on to healing, and then we're into other stuff. We're now up to page 59. This is not a big game, and we're into the solo rules because 3 Deep doesn't need a game master. It's better with probably. It was designed to be played with a group. It was play tested with a group, but it's also a solo game. So you've got the solo engine, which takes 3.5 pages. Then you've got an example of play, and that's it. And we've got a different style of art here again. And then beyond that, we've got some advanced rules, and there's a quick reference here. These pages, that top section is the solo rules quick reference with a completely different style of art again. Then we've got 1.5 pages of everything you need to play the game. This is your GM shield for the game. Everything you need is just here. And then the advanced rules. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, all the rules in the game. And then that's it. We've looped around and we're back to the appendix with all those different artists. 3 Deep has 2 problems. The first is what I would call a minimum viable product. That was a phrase coined by Silicon Valley and was meant for hardware, where you build something relatively cheap and basic. Early adopters pick it up, they either love it or hate it. If they love it, then you can reinvest to make something more feature rich. When you start applying it to games, which is exactly what I did here, you end up with a game which is almost too dense. It's rules light because that's obviously minimal, but you're not giving the game master or the player anything to really soak up and absorb and get enthusiastic about. Now, setting neutral is a way of stripping out loads of stuff which you could provide but haven't. There's no real advantage to the game master in not supporting them. This game was built with world builders in mind, so it will do everything. The only thing it might struggle with is supers, but it all depends on how you define your supers. God level powers might be difficult. Galactus might be a problem, but Iron Man isn't. But your sort of more normal, if you like, common, your fantasy, science fiction, cyberpunk, post-apocalyptic, all of those, 3 Deep will do them all. And everything you need as a game master is in here, but it just hurtles through it too fast. It's minimal. The idea was that I would produce additional books, supplements, each one themed. I took the idea from GURPS. There is a Wild West book for 3 Deep. There is a science fiction book for 3 Deep. So I can expand it into different genres. There are fantasy adventures, sci-fi adventures. They all exist, but you buy them in addition to the rule book. Nice cheap rule book, nice cheap supplements. You buy the 2 or 3 books to get the whole system. Well, you have the whole system, but if you wanted a setting and the genre specific stuff. But when it comes to selling this to people, I've made it harder for myself because there is nothing to get enthusiastic about apart from the fact that you have to put in a lot of effort to make your own world, which is a selling point to someone that's a world builder, is work for someone that wants to pick up and go. So The mistake I think that I made is the game is too small. It's too rules light. It's not the lightest. It's not adventurers. It's not mini D6 or tiny D6. But from a pick up and go, it is nice and rules light. You can teach someone in an hour, half an hour. You can make a character in 15 minutes. It's everything's there, ready to go, ready to play. But there's no upholstery on the seats. There's no nothing comfortable in the game because it was too minimal. So I think the lesson that I would like you to take away, if anything, is put that little bit more into a game if you're tempted to make a minimal game, because the more you're giving them, your time is probably free. In a PDF, certainly, the page count's free. So yeah, it's not less is more, more is more. Uh, you don't have to pile in the optional rules. It's the extra stuff, the flavor, the setting, the genre material. That is what people will really appreciate. And that's it for today.